Hello, everybody. I'm D.Lisa. I'm a dream doula.
I'm Cristina and I. I'm a psychotherapist and relationship coach.
Have you ever had a dream for years and you just didn't do it? You thought
hmm
about it, but you didn't do it. In fact, I heard someone yesterday say, did you ever have a great idea,
hmm
but you didn't act on it? And 6 months or a year later, you like, that person wrote that book I was going to do, or that that guy invented that thing I was going to do.
hmm
And the idea is we get these ideas, and these ideas come from our higher self or from the God universe or whatever you
hmm
want to call it, and they're ours to do. Although, if we don't do it, it goes to the next person. And if you have a call to do something, it's probably something that you could do in your own special way that no one else can do.
Exactly. And the key is what's stopping you. I've gotten into this YouTube short with this woman. She's a hospice nurse.
Hmm.
So she shares a lot of her experiences that she's had with her patients. And I just saw a little clip this morning where she's like the three things she has learned being a hospice nurse. Number one, don't chase the material because you definitely can't take it with you. And most of her patients, like on their deathbed, are like, I wished I would have spent more time cultivating my relationships or doing this. They're not worrying about the stuff they didn't have. The other one
Yeah.
was don't do something like, don't let yourself be stopped from doing something because you're thinking, oh, that's going to take too long. Those years are going to go by anyway, and you might as well do something you want to do rather than not.
Mm.
And third thing was interesting. Don't let other people dictate what you should or shouldn't be doing with your life. Because
Mm.
she told the story of a woman who was on her deathbed and said, you know what? I didn't do this thing I was going to do because I was worried what my neighbor Shirley would think. And like, Shirley's dead and I didn't do what I wanted to do. So what does it matter?
Right. And most of us outlive our parents,
Right.
but we're trying to please our parents even after they're dead.
Exactly.
And so um, there's another quote I saw online today that was so beautiful. It was like, has anyone climbed to the top of Mount Everest just because
hmm
they were taking a walk? I was like,
hmm
no.
right.
Uh, you don't get to the top of a mountain just because you're wandering through the neighborhood. That's not where
hmm
you're going. If you're going to the top of a mountain, you have to make some plans and get some gear and go on an
Right.
expedition. Same
Exactly.
with any big goal or dream. And someone told me just the other day, just yesterday, I was thinking about finding a coach.
hmm
I can't believe you're a coach. That's so cool. I was thinking about it before COVID. I was searching on the internet, she said.
hmm
And I thought, okay, wait, before COVID is now 4.5 years ago.
hmm
So she wanted to do so, obviously, she wanted to be more of who she came here to be. She wanted to
hmm
do something spectacular
hmm
in her life. And now, 4 years later, she still wants that and she's not doing it.
Doing it. The question is what stops us. And I think it's interesting because I think often the things we allow ourselves to be stopped by. That's why I really appreciated, there's a lot of stuff on the internet you can kind of gloss over, but I really appreciate when I find something that has those kernels of eternal truth. And the idea is we don't want to be morbid and think about our lives as if we're going to die tomorrow, but we should look at it as we are on this planet for a finite time. What do you want to do with the time that you're here? Do you want to live a life of regret? Or do you want to live a life that you've actually, maybe you couldn't do everything you wanted to do, but you actually took a good shot? You took a shot at it. Even if it didn't work, I think a lot of times people, they have this idea, but then for whatever reason, they talk themselves out of it. Oh, I don't have the time, or I don't have the money, or, is this waste? And again, those could be valid reasons. But if something is calling you to something, this woman who was looking for a coach, obviously there's something she wants to work on. So she's now put off working on that for the last 4.5 years. Why? There's tons of us, there's tons of coaches, therapists. It's not like there's a shortage. So, what has stopped her? And I bet the reasons that have stopped her, if she really went and thought about it, could easily be worked around.
Yes, because people, these are the reasons people say they don't want to do coaching or even therapy. I don't have the
Mhm.
time.
Mhm.
I don't have the money.
Right.
My spouse doesn't want me to spend the
Mhm.
money. But really, underneath all of that is it's not a priority because
Yes.
you do have the time and the money and the
Yes.
permission from your spouse to do what you
Mhm.
really want to do, don't you?
Exactly.
If it's really important, you'll
It
scrape
is
around
really
and make
important.
it happen. You'll find the time, you'll find the money, and you'll do the thing that you want to do. And why? Why do we stop ourselves with a tiny thought like, what would the neighbors think? Or what will my parents think? Or,
Mhm.
yeah, like that woman's, um, my neighbor didn't want me to do it, and now she's dead, and I never did it. Okay, wow. Wow. And why not surround yourself with people who encourage you and lift you up and tell
Mhm.
you you can do it? That's the other thing I
Exactly.
think that stops people, don't you agree? Is like their circle of friends
Oh
are
yeah.
thinking that you can do this. You can
Right.
work at McDonald's, but you better not work at Nordstrom's.
Right.
You can drive a funky car, but you better not drive a Tesla.
Right.
Um, People keep you at a certain level. And then maybe
Mhm.
you're up at we all drive Teslas.
Mhm.
We shop at whatever, Barney's, and um, they wouldn't even ever think about going to get a job at McDonald's. And then
Right.
there's all those different levels. One of my friends said to me once, it was like this. He was a serious meditator, and he goes,
Mhm.
"It's just like a building with a lot of floors in it,
Mhm.
and you get into an elevator and you go up. Like there used to be some department stores in Seattle that had like 7 floors,
Mhm.
and the fanciest, most expensive stuff was on the top. So he
Right.
was likening consciousness to that same thing. Like you do your meditation and you're on the first
Mhm.
floor, and then you go up to the second floor or maybe the third floor, and it's nicer up there.
Right.
So, but of course, you have to leave behind whatever's stopping you on the first floor and the second floor and the third floor.
Well, that's where I think people get stuck because there's comfort in familiarity. And when we change anything about ourselves, we are going into different territory here. We are leaving things that might be familiar and comfortable to go to a higher floor. And we have to decide, are we ready for that? And people get scared
Well, people
because,
get scared to leave something that's even uncomfortable and
right,
unsettling, like
because
they're
it's a
in
known
a
thing.
they know what's going to happen next, even though it's
Yes.
bad,
Right.
which is
Exactly. It's like
always
knowing where
just
the
makes my heart hurt a little bit.
I know. No, it's so sad. And I've totally
Mhm.
seen that with people who are in bad situations. And it's like, they if they can get themselves out of it, they'll be happier. But the problem is it's almost like where the landmines are buried. Like I
Yeah,
know I'm in a war zone. I know this is dangerous, but I know where the landmines are. So I know if I step here, I won't blow up. But if I go someplace else, I won't know where those landmines are. So
right.
it's sort of like they develop this idea that everywhere is going to have the element of danger and I'd rather know where my danger is. But they don't understand it might be even better. You might be going to a place with no landmines, no danger, a place where you could be freer, happier. Now, you might have some landmines, you might have some danger, yes, but you might also have more happiness. And isn't that worth going to the other place?
Well, I was thinking about this because I'm going to do a talk on Friday on what people miss in manifestation. So this
Mm-hmm.
ties into that. Well, most people know because they've watched The Secret or if they've watched people
Mm-hmm.
who talk about manifestation that you need to know what you would love. You need to have a blueprint of where you're going.
Mm-hmm.
And then you need to visualize it and really feel it and imagine that every day, and then you'll get there.
Mm-hmm.
But the truth is, there's something that holds us back, or we would already be there.
Yeah.
And what's holding you back is the thought you have when you're saying that affirmation. The one that says, no, you're not. No, you can't.
Mm-hmm.
You're not. You're too old for that. Or
Mm-hmm.
you're a woman, you're a man,
Mm-hmm.
you're a transgender, whatever you
Mm-hmm.
think is stopping you
Mm-hmm.
from becoming more of who you are. And it may or may not work, but my belief is, you can chime in on this, is that if you find that negative thought, let's say it's I'm too old to do that, you need to flip that into something that's positive
Hmm.
until you believe the thing you're saying in the first place. So
I
you, I'm too old to do that. People older than me have done more amazing things.
absolutely, absolutely. I mean, I'm a big belief in the flipper. You know, the whole idea of cognitive behavioral therapy and all of that, or even a lot of the coaching techniques, is about taking your negative mindsets, your negative thoughts, and changing them. But they're still true. So, yes, I'm this certain age, but so what? Is this
Yeah,
something you want to do?
yeah,
If it's something you want to do, as long as you're still living and breathing, you can do it. You know, I was studying years ago, and I was in school, we were studying Eric Erickson and the different stages of development, and how he's one of the few at the time who went through the entire lifespan. A lot of them would just talk about stages of development and kind of end when you're like 4 or 5, and that's it, you're done. Where he was the one that really talked about it from like birth all the way up to the last stage. And the last stage was like a life review, where
mm,
you look at back on your life, and do you look at it with integrity, or do you look at it with despair? And each stage was always about that conflict, the good and the bad. The first stage was the trust versus mistrust, and the idea being that each stage built on the next. So how we resolved each stage is where we kind of wind up. And I always, when I remember learning that in school, I thought, when my time comes and I'm doing my life review, I will acknowledge I've made mistakes that I have regrets over, but I want to look back on my life and say I did the best I could with what I had, and to look back on it, okay, and not with regret. So, how do you?
yeah. How can you do that? And I've talked to a few people this past year who passed away after I had a conversation with them.
Mhm.
Not that talking to me is dangerous. Don't get
Yes,
that
she's
idea.
not dangerous to your health, people. Talking to her will
They
not kill
were
you.
they were maybe on hospice care already, and
Mhm,
two dear friends I can think of right now, and I asked them both, you know, do you have any regrets? And
mhm,
they both said no. And in my mind, I could see lots of things that they might have regretted about what
mhm,
I know about them, but that's
mhm.
my opinion of their life. In their
Right.
life, they said, no, I'm exactly where I am right now, which
Mhm,
was dying, actively dying,
mhm.
and I couldn't have done anything differently. Everything
Yeah.
was perfect. So even the things that while we're doing them or right afterwards, we regret
Mhm,
them,
mhm,
there's a learning, there's a knowledge, there's a change that happens that
mhm.
helps us grow into who we are becoming.
Exactly. And that's why, obviously none of us wants to have painful experiences, unless you're masochistic. But we've learned just as much from the painful ones as we learned from the good ones. And it's been part of our growth. And a lot of times where we get into the trap of, and every time travel movie addresses this, oh, if only I had done this or I had done that, then I would have had the better life. But you actually don't know that, because every choice we make leads to another choice and another choice and another choice and another choice. So even if you have something in your life that maybe you regret a decision you made or a direction you took, you don't know the ripple effect of that. So you don't know if suddenly you made a different choice, what series of events may have transpired after that that may or may not have taken your life in a better direction that you wanted. You don't know that.
I love that so much. And yeah, I do believe for myself, the things that were difficult that I didn't want to be
Mhm,
happening at the time, I
mhm,
remember thinking, I don't want this. I don't want this. I don't want
mhm,
this.
mhm.
Those were the things that changed me, like transformed me the most.
Yeah.
Like, happy skippy day. What a beautiful sunny day. I'm having a picnic. That didn't transform me very much. It
Mhm,
was like, I like to have joyful experiences.
mhm.
Don't
Of
get me
course.
wrong. I love it. But the hard ones were probably the biggest lessons that transformed me the
Yeah.
most. which reminds me of this poem. May I read you a poem by Mary Oliver?
I would love to hear a poem.
This is The Summer Day by Mary Oliver. Who made the world? Who made the swan and the black bear? Who made the grasshopper? This grasshopper, I mean the one who has flung herself out of the grass, the one who is eating sugar out of my hand, who is moving her jaws back and forth instead of up and down, who is getting around with her enormous and complicated eyes. That was
Mm.
gazing, by the way. Now she lifts her pale forearms, thoroughly washes her face. Now she snaps her wings open and floats away. I don't know exactly what a prayer is. I don't know how to pay attention, how to fall down into the grass, how to kneel down in the grass, how to be idle and blessed, how to stroll through the fields, which is
Mhm.
what I have been doing all day. Tell me, what else should I have done? Doesn't everything die at last and too soon? Tell me, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life?
Oh, I love that.
I like
I
that
love
poem too.
that.
So, okay, mic drop right there. What do you plan to do? Do it now.
Yes.
Start it now.
Do it now. Do it now so that when your time comes, as it comes for all of us, you're not going to look back with regret. You're going to say, you did the best you could with what you
Yeah. All right. Thanks, Christina. Bye
had.
for
Thank
now,
you.
everybody.
Bye bye.